Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Maddie, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about the books I want to read in 2024. I have 10 books to share with you guys, 5 of which are nonfiction. Most of them are Christian nonfiction, and then I also have 5 fiction books. Subscribe to this channel for more videos on Christian lifestyle, homemaking, and motherhood. The first one I want to talk about is Raising Good Humans by Hunter Clark Fields. This is a secular parenting book that, as you can see, I've already started. It's very much gentle parenting with a focus on like meditation. There's some good nuggets in here, and then there's also a lot of things that I disagree with. So take that as you will. The next book is Mama Bear Apologetics by Hillary Morgan Ferrer. I've heard so many wonderful things about this book. This is a Christian parenting book. Basically how to teach your kids to be countercultural and stand on biblical truths. So I mean, my kids aren't at that age yet, but I know this will be very helpful for me in the future, and I want to go ahead and get a head start. The next book, again with the motherhood books, is M is for Mama by Abby Halberstadt. This is another Christian parenting book, but this is more geared towards moms and not falling into the societal, current cultural traps of what this book puts it as mediocre motherhood. It's supposed to be about embracing motherhood and the gift that is, that the gift our children are to us, given by God, and embracing that instead of seeing everything as something negative. And then the last nonfiction book I have is Holy Huga. For the longest time, I thought it was pronounced Holy Haig, but apparently it's pronounced Huga. And looking at it now, I feel stupid because it says in tiny little parentheses underneath, Huga. And this is by Jamie Erickson. This is all about Christian homemaking, essentially, creating a peaceful home that is inviting for guests. From my understanding, it's about cultivating that atmosphere in your home that is very hospitable and attracts people to spend time in your home, so that allows you an opening to present the gospel and to grow in discipleship and just having fellowship with fellow believers in Christ. I'm super excited about this one, and its cover is so beautiful. And I almost forgot, but the last nonfiction book that I want to read this year is The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. This is a Christian book about slowing down and living a slower pace life so that you can connect with God more instead of just flying by through everyday moments and missing what God has for us. And on into the fiction books I would like to read this year. The first is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia for Fairies by Heather Fawcett. At the time of this video, I've actually already read this one, and it's not at all what I expected. I don't know what I was thinking, but this is basically an adult fiction book about this woman who is a professor. She is basically a scholar of fairies, and she is creating an encyclopedia of all things fairies. She goes to this town in the middle of freezing cold nowhere to document this very mysterious group of fairies that nobody has ever documented before. The next book I want to read is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I have only read like 1 or 2 Brandon Sanderson books before. He is like the king of fantasy though, and this book in particular is supposed to be a loose retelling of The Princess Bride, which has me sold. I've also heard great things about this book, and it is an adult fantasy as well. Next is Forging Silver into Stars by Bridget Kamara. This is a young adult fantasy, and it is a companion series to the A Curse So Dark and Lonely series by Bridget Kamara, which is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I love Beauty and the Beast. I love Beauty and the Beast retellings, and I really enjoyed the original trilogy, and so I'm excited to jump on in to the companion series. Next up is the Poison Study series by Maria V. Schneider. This is one that I read the first book last year, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't like my favorite book ever, just because I've read so many young adult fantasy books at this point. It wasn't anything super special, but it was still good. And so I want to continue on in that series. I already own all of the books anyway, and so hopefully by the end of this year I can read and finish the entire series. I think I have 6 books. And lastly on my TBR for this year is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. Cassandra Clare is the author that made me fall in love with reading when I was in high school. The Mortal Instruments series and the Infernal Devices trilogy are still some of my favorites of all time. Granted, I haven't enjoyed her latest books as much, and the more time passes and the more books she writes, she becomes more secular and secular with each book, and there are themes and stuff in those books that I don't agree with. So I technically haven't even read all of her books up to date, even though I would consider her one of my favorite authors of all time. However, this is her first adult book, and I am very interested to see. I believe it is another urban fantasy. I'm not quite sure on that though. I don't know anything about this book other than it's written by Cassandra Clare and it's a fantasy and it's an adult book, her first one. And we will see if I like it. Hopefully it doesn't let me down. Alright, those are the top 10 books that I want to read this year. Let me know in the comments down below what are some of the books that you are looking forward to reading this year. And what is your reading goal for this year? I set mine at 35 books because I read 36 books last year. And even though I used to read over 100 books a year, 35 is actually a big stretch for me as a mom with 2 kids under 2. But my main goal for this year is to finish reading all of the nonfiction books that I mentioned at the first half of this video. If I can get through those, I will be super happy. And if any of you are interested in reading those books, we can discuss them together. I would love that. Alright, that is it for this video today. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and then subscribe to my channel for more videos on Christian lifestyle, homemaking, and motherhood. God bless you guys, and I will see you in my next video.